Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. My name is Olivia and this is my channel where I love to talk about all things nail polish. First, because I know that I kind of have a thing where like when I'm watching people on, that sounded creepy, when I'm watching people's videos, not when I'm watching people, but when I'm watching YouTube videos and somebody has something on their shirt where you can only like read part of it but not the rest, I'm just kind of like, can I see it? So, and also because this shirt is really cute, it says "To the Rave," and yes, it has a sloth riding a unicorn riding a triceratops. So yeah, love it. Today's video is one in my series called Did I Nail It?, where I like to take a look at upcoming nail polish releases and see if I can use nail polishes that I already have to dupe some of them to save myself a little bit of money, and maybe if I do have a spending budget for that release, maybe put that budget towards buying polishes from other creators that aren't ones that I already have. So this is for the upcoming release for Hella Handmade Creations, or HHC. If you're unfamiliar with them, they are one of the monthly nail polish indie collaborations. Makers will have a couple polishes each month that are only available for a limited window. Every month it's the 14th to the 21st, so coming up pretty soon here. And what I typically do is take a look and go through and add some polishes to my wish list. Usually it's like ones that I'm thinking of, you know, like that I actually do want to consider buying for myself. I also look at some that are outside of my comfort zone and that are maybe something that is more in alignment with what you all are into, because you know everyone has a different taste in nail polish. I'll also say, as I was thinking about this earlier today and planning for this video, I kind of had a realization about nail polish and kind of how part of my thought process goes when I'm trying to evaluate if I really should purchase a nail polish or not. And please let me know in the comments if any of you can relate to this. But you know how like a single bottle of nail polish can be, I mean, it's intended to be used multiple times, right? Like it's even with like these small little sample size bottles that I know some makers have for like certain like collections, those you can get multiple uses out of them, right? And especially if it's something like your regular like 15 milliliter size bottle. But and also the number of times the number of uses that you can get out of a bottle of nail polish will obviously vary depending on things like your nail length, your preference for how opaque you want that to be, and so on. But I realize that when I am looking through upcoming nail polish releases and trying to decide which ones I want to purchase, I'm really only thinking about like, this is something that I know I want to wear once. Like that dopamine that relates to the feeling of, ooh, that's new, that's exciting, and I can see myself wearing that once. And so what I'm saying is I am personally trying to get better at identifying when it's the case that I'm seeing a polish that isn't just exciting enough for me to want to wear once, but that is something that I'm like, yeah, I can think of so many times when I would want to wear this polish. So, you know, if that line of thinking is helpful for any of you, I would say, especially as we're going throughout the dupe attempts in this video, really ask yourself, especially if you are able to dupe a polish on your wish list that you were thinking of, is your dupe attempt good enough for maybe that one time that you are looking forward to wearing it? Or could it be something that, you know, you do want to get more use out of it? I don't know, that just occurred to me, and I know it seems silly, the fact, but like I was looking at a bottle of one of my untried bottles of nail polish and I was like, huh, I get multiple uses out of each one of these, don't I? So I don't know why that hit me, but it did. So anyway, now that I've dropped that, you know, ball of wisdom on you all, I, as always, encourage you to pull out a swatch wheel, pull out some swatch sticks and follow along, or if you are someone who falls into the category of doing your own nails or working on some other kind of crafting project as you're watching these videos. Hope you're settling in and enjoying that, so let's go ahead and get right into it. The first polish that I'm going to try to do comes from Lurid Lacquer. It's called Heavily Foreshadowed Redemption Arc. The website says, Lurid Lacquer continues their A Court of Tropes and Cliches series with a polish inspired by spoiler-free, and it's not me saying spoiler-free, it's the description, my speculations about the future of an inconsistently characterized villain. And then continues on to say, Heavily Foreshadowed Redemption Arc has a sheer medium green jelly base with glowy pink to red to orange to gold shimmer. And this one I'm starting with because it's actually one of the overstock polishes for this month's HHC, meaning that it was initially released in a previous month, but then there are some bottles left over, and so the website doesn't specify how many of these will be available once the shop opens, but because it is available for wish listing, I figured I would start with that. Now, this is also going to be a very interesting one to begin with because I recently purchased this prototype from Lurid, prototype 348, which I can't say this for sure, but I mean, I would not be surprised if this prototype 348 might have been related to this Heavily Foreshadowed Redemption Arc. So because I have this one, this is one of the rare times where I do have something that is pretty close, especially when it's like from the same maker. And so I've gone ahead and swatched that out on the first nail there. Next, you might be wondering why I've got two very different options next here. And so often in these videos, things will get to a point where I come to a section that I like to call, okay, hear me out. And that's when I have some kind of idea for a polish combination that may seem a little bit out of left field, but just hear me out. There's an idea behind it. Okay. So the one that I've got in the middle is 3 coats of Cirque Colors Jade Jelly, which I know is not the same as either the photo of the HHC polish or this prototype that I have, but I think that it's close-ish enough, I feel. Also, I was very surprised that as much as I love green nail polish, I mean, I even have like a homemade green reflective glitter topper over this polish right now just because how much I love green and glitter. I don't really have anything else in my collection that is the shade of green that's on the left. So we're gonna do a little experiment, which I really have no idea how this is gonna turn out, y'all. This is either gonna be brilliant or something. So on the right, I have a cream polish from Cracked called Ooze. As you can see, this is a neon green. Now, I wanna see what happens if I put this jade jelly over Ooze. What would I like to happen? Well, I would like for it to magically end up being the exact same shade as what we have here and what's in the HHC polish. What do I think is gonna happen? Probably not that. So let's just see, and whatever happens, this video is gonna be off to a great start. And also after this, I do have a shimmer topper I'm gonna use on this. It's not the worst thing, but is it doing anything? No. There was really no point in me doing that. I had a vision, that vision just did not go anywhere. I mean, especially with this being a jelly, I'd probably have to build that up a few more times to even scratch a dent in it, but you know, we're gonna try it out anyway, see what happens. Okay, And I will also say my prediction for this one on the right is because the addition of jade jelly is doing little to nothing here, whatever result that I get from this, I can almost certainly say would be the exact same as what it would have been if I had not put jade jelly on there. So let's go ahead and add in a shimmer topper. I've got this one from Fancy Gloss, Let It Glow Red Pink. So I'm going to start with the swatch of just jade jelly and see what we get there. I know that the description of this says glowy pink to red to orange to gold. I'm just going to do red to pink, see what we get. And ooh. Okay, I've actually, so jade jelly is a relatively newer polish in my collection that I have. I don't know why I use that one instead of, I also have this one from Cracked, which is, I'm Jaded. This and jade jelly are almost similar in color, but I'm Jaded on the right is more of a crelly, and I use this one quite a lot, but I wanted this but in a true jelly format, so that's why I got jade jelly on the left. And so I think why I chose jade jelly for this video is that I haven't used it yet, so I kind of wanted to use this as a way to test it out. So okay, from what I'm seeing here, and again, it's tough to say because, you know, swatch photos that you see online can vary a lot depending on lighting, depending on the things like any kind of editing or color correction that the swatchers have done. So I can't say for sure exactly how vibrant that red shimmer is in person on Heavily Foreshadowed Redemption Arc. What I can tell you though is from what I'm seeing to my eye with the Lurid prototype on the left, the shimmer that's in here is not nearly as strong as what's in this combination in the middle there. I might actually, like when I do wear this one on the left for real as a manicure, I wouldn't be surprised if I end up putting some more shimmer on top of it just to really amplify that a bit. So the base color is definitely different here, but as far as the shimmer goes, I'm pretty happy with it. Let's see, that should be dry by now. Yeah, well, this is why I say hear me out, and you do hear me out, and the hearing was wrong, but you know, I tried. Okay, it's funny how this one is actually picking up more of a gold like glow in certain angles. Okay, that's not a bad combination. I mean, I actually, at least in this lighting, I feel like this polish on the left, the green, if we just focus on that, is sitting somewhere in between these two. Yeah. And so I feel that what I really wanted from a dupe needed to be more vibrant than the middle, but not quite as neon as the right. Did I nail it? Not fully. And I think for me, it's just because like I said, I just don't have any other polish in my collection, even a cream polish that is this shade of green. So, but for me, I think that especially considering that I've got the prototype, I was actually very surprised that I was getting this level of opacity on that prototype with just two coats of the polish, whereas what I'm seeing in Heavily Foreshadowed Redemption Arc, at least in some photos, it appears to be slightly more sheer. So for those reasons, I think I'm good with what I've got. I would say if any of you do have some kind of combination of green and a red shimmer, try it out. See what you can come up with. So let's take a look at these in some other lighting and then move on to the next one. The next polish comes from Sassy Cat's Lacquer. It's called Tears of the Kingdom. The website says, for their encore, Sassy Cat's Lacquer has chosen a polish from their series inspired by Nintendo Switch games. It continues on to describe Tears of the Kingdom as having a turquoise base with gold, orange shimmer plus fine hollow. And there's a cap of 50, meaning that 50 is the maximum number of bottles of this polish that will be available for sale. Also, if you're newer to HHC, I want to point out that when it says encore for a product listing like this one, that means that it's generally a polish that was so popular that amongst the customers of that brand that they're like, bring it back. We would love to have the chance to buy this again. So that's why it's called encore. Now, I've started with two different options here that I want to try out. I'm actually going to start with this one on the right first because I think that might get us closer to what I'm seeing in Tears of the Kingdom. This, I started with like this is I think more of like a true turquoise aqua cream polish. And against that, I'm also going to test it with Cirque Colors Aqua Jelly. This is because I know oftentimes people may have more limited collections, and so if it's the case that maybe you only have like a light blue or something like that, I want to give you an option that can work for you as a possible alternative. So the first thing that I want to do is put on a gold shimmer topper. This comes from BCB Lacquers. It's called Next Question. And I mean, I'm hoping that this is one of these times where, you know, the way that a polish looks and the way it's described will hopefully turn out to be what I want it to be. But let's see. Starting on the right. Okay, that is really nice. See, that's one of the things I love about doing these videos. I know I say this a lot, but like the number of times when I have gotten some kind of polish combination, I don't want to say discover because it makes me sound like I discovered that, like I was the first one. Like I was not the first one to do this, but like I would say rather I came across a polish combination that I would not have thought to put together until trying to dupe something out and then realizing, oh, I actually have these components at home already. I think that is very lovely and very similar to what I'm seeing in Tears of the Kingdom. Now, in terms of the opacity here, this is a cream, and so it's more opaque than what I'm seeing in Tears of the Kingdom. So let's see if something like a jelly, well, I have built this jelly up in 3 coats, but you know, as with any of these dupe attempts, you can always use as many or as few coats as you like, depending on the level of visible nail line that you want to have. Okay, I don't think that's bad in general, but I do see how, yeah, ideally if you have some kind of turquoise aqua base to start with, there is that difference there. It on the right, it just looks more like ocean-like. I can totally see myself wearing this. Now, the last thing we need to do is add in fine hollow. And to give you a comparison of this, let me zoom out a bit. The one that I'm gonna use for this dupe attempt is from Starly. It's called Stars. And y'all, this is the finest like glitter, hollow glitter topper that I have in my collection. I'm just gonna zoom way in on this. That, like, I'm zooming in uncomfortably close, I know, but I'm just trying to make a point of how fine that is. Now, if I were to compare that to something else like Island Peas, My Private Rainbow X, hopefully you can see the difference there in the size of what's there. So I think what I'm actually gonna do, because I know that I want my one on the right to probably be the closest match, I also do still want to use this Island P, My Private Rainbow X, as a way to show you like how this could look, how this general type of combination could look if something like my Private Rainbow X is the only kind of hollow glitter topper that you have in your collection. So once again, y'all, I'm not kidding when I say I'm gonna swipe this on here and you're gonna be like, Olivia, did you even do anything? At least in this lighting, I'm telling you, it's not gonna show up. Okay, here we go. Here is stars. Like, okay, it's sort of there. I think because I put it over top of a cream, I can see the little speckles there, but I'm seeing, I think, the speckles more than I'm seeing any kind of glittery shimmer here. I mean, the shimmer that I'm getting is coming from the BCB topper, but let's see how this compares to using my Private Rainbow X over the other one. Yeah, so hopefully y'all can see what I mean when I'm saying that, like, the option on the left, if you're looking for more of your typical hollow sparkle, I feel like I'm definitely getting more of that from the hollow on the left than I am on the right. I'm curious to see how this is gonna change when I do it in other lighting. So did I nail it? I think so, with the option on the right. Granted, it's not a jelly base, which Tears of the Kingdom does appear to be, but I do feel that if you have some kind of turquoise base in your collection and some kind of gold shimmer plus hollow, this should be something that you might be able to easily recreate. The next polish comes from by Dany Vianna. It's called Heart of Stone, and the website says that by Dany Vianna is continuing their 6 series with a polish inspired by Jane Seymour. Heart of Stone has a black jelly base with a mix of silver reflective glitters and silver holographic glitters with a silver magnetic effect. And there's a cap of 100 bottles. Okay, so y'all know anytime I have like this many bottles out here to begin with, there's definitely going to be something going on here. And there's a lot that I want to kind of talk you all through my thought process first so that you can understand why I'm choosing approach things this way. So the first thing is that I see that it's described as having a black jelly base. Now, the black jelly that I'm going to use for this is Emily Damali Sheer Tint Shadow. Now, I know that not everyone will have a black jelly in their collection, especially if you're newer to nail polish and just starting to build up your collection. So if it's the case that you have a black cream polish, like the one that I use is Bee's Knees Lacquer Void, I wanted to do a comparison where I do the exact same thing to the black jelly that I do with the black cream as I build up these layers, and I want to test and see, does it ultimately really make a difference if you use a jelly versus a cream for this? That's the first part. There's multiple stuff. Okay, the next thing I should say is that I was taking a look at the silver holographic glitters. Now, when I typically think of silver holographic glitters, I think of something like this one that I was just using in the other swatch, ILMP, my Private Rainbow X. You know, like from a distance it looks silver, but you know, when the light hits it just right, you can see that it's holographic, it's colorful, yay, right? But the thing is, when I zoomed in on these swatch photos in Heart of Stone, I guess, yes, those technically are silver holographic glitters, but y'all, those are like much bigger, like silver holographic hex glitters, as opposed to these finer particle glitters here. I'm saying this because I know, at least for me, when I'm looking at the pictures of Heart of Stone, I was really drawn to the rainbow of colors that I'm seeing in there. So that's not to say that if I had something like my private rainbow X and I'm trying to see some, like, you know, colorful rainbow colors in there and the light hits it just right, sure, I can get that from it. But if what I'm more drawn to is seeing those colorful, like the colorful rainbow all the time, regardless of lighting, that's why instead of using my private rainbow X for this test, I'm choosing to use what is technically a rainbow flake topper, also from ILMP, called Confetti. And let me actually just bring my private rainbow back here. So you can see that, yeah, both of these have like rainbow of colors in them, right? But the difference is with Confetti on the right being rainbow flakes, that's where it's more of you see this rainbow all the time. So this is one of those times where for my dupe attempt, I'm choosing my polish selections less on what the description says and more on how it looks. Okay, so I talked about that. And I also, so it says there's going to be reflective glitter in there, silver reflective glitter. I see that makes sense. And so I am using a homemade silver reflective glitter topper because as someone who really loves glitter, I'm very picky about my particle density, and so I made this one myself. But if you don't already have a silver reflective glitter topper in your collection, a good one to use would be KB Shimmer's Out of Sequence. Okay, so that one's gonna come back in. Now, okay, other thing. I told y'all there was a lot with this one. For the silver magnetic effect, I'm using Monarch Lacquer Enigma Glow, which is a silver magnetic topper. Okay, last thing that I want to point out here is that I often talk on this channel about the importance of not just knowing which components you're choosing to layer together, but understanding the difference that it can sometimes make when you choose to layer polishes in a different order. And something I didn't really think about until I started swatching out these first two was, oh yeah, I might also want to test out this other thing too. So what I'm going to do on these first two is start with the silver magnetic topper as the first element, then go back in with the, you know, I think I'll do the, I was about to call it funfetti. It's not called funfetti, y'all. The confetti. I was close. Okay. The confetti topper after that, and finish up with the silver reflective glitter topper. Over here, I have already put down the confetti topper and the silver reflective glitter topper over top of the black jelly, and the only thing I have left to do here is put on the silver magnetic topper. Now, one of the reasons why I'm hoping that it turns out that there may be no difference visually in this is that, at least for me personally, whenever I use a magnetic polish or a magnetic topper, and then if I put something on top of that, whether that's top coat, whether that's like another reflective glitter topper or something like that, anytime you put more polish on top of polish, it will re-wet what's underneath it, and therefore that's why I choose to remagnetize it. So what I'm saying is, what I'm gonna have to do for these first two, put down the silver magnetic topper and then magnetize that. Put on the confetti topper, magnetize it. Put on the reflective one, magnetize it. Why I'm hoping that this one will look exactly the same is that because I'm putting the silver magnetic topper on last, I don't have to magnetize it for anything else other than like the magic effect that I use from DRK Nails for like giving a more crisp magnetic effect, and then top coat after that. So, okay, whew, that was a lot of talking, but I really just wanted to make sure you all understood where I was going with this so that you understand the rationale. So with all that being said, let's roll. Let's start with, okay, here we go. All right. And what I will probably do in editing, as always, I'm going to find ways to kind of like skip ahead a bit so that it's, you know, this part doesn't drag on for too long. Okay. And I should also mention, I don't recall if I said this already, but especially if you're newer to nail polish, silver magnetic topper is something that is fairly common to find across indie nail polish makers. So if you don't already have one in your collection, I know that Holo Taco put out one, a limited edition one last year that is no longer available and has been resold on sites like Mercari for a huge markup. So like, don't pay for that. I think like this one from Monarch is a really good one that tends to be available often. I think Cracked Polish has one called, I want to say, On Thin Ice. So yeah, definitely look around at indie nail polish makers for a silver magnetic topper. Don't pay the markup prices just because it's a Holo Taco. Okay. Normally I would magnetize these for longer, but I typically do like 60 seconds per coat, but I'm going to speed things up a little bit here. And so just going to magnetize this one here. On this third coat, this is really just going to be the only one that we've got. Okay. Okay, let's see. All right, so another thing that I want to point out as a logistical thing, at least the way that I work with magnetic nail polish, I know I said earlier that when you put down additional coats on top of something that can re-wet it, and I remagnetize, I do that all the time, but for when it comes to using a product like DRK's Magic Effect and where this fits into my routine when it's the case that I'm working with not only a magnetic polish but something else on top of that, I prefer to use Magic Effect right after, like directly after the magnetic polish, so that way it has the best, like the strongest effect when it's being applied directly to the magnetic polish. I'm still going to go back and remagnetize the additional coats that I put on top of these two here, but I just want to point that out so that if any of you are wondering about logistics there, just a tip that I have. So I'm going to go off camera for a bit and I'll be right back. Also, really quickly, for any of you who are newer to using a product like DRK Magic Effect, I just wanted to pop in and show you the difference that it can make. So far up to this point, I've only used it on the swatch on the left and magnetized that for a full minute. And these two over here have not had that on there. So hopefully you can see the difference there and why it's a product that I always use with magnetics. Okay. Now that I've applied the Magic Effect to all three of these, where we stand now, the swatch on the right, that's going to remain as is for the rest of this. And then for the left and middle swatches, I'm going to go off camera again because I don't think anyone wants to see all of that magnetizing. Even if I were to speed through it, there's just visually nothing going on. I'm just holding a magnet still. Okay, so what I'm going to do on each of these is put down a coat of the confetti topper, magnetize that for a minute, put down a coat of the silver reflective glitter topper, magnetize that for a minute, and then we're going to come back and compare and talk about the results. Okay, like I said, that was a lot of magnetizing, but let's talk about the results here. First, I want to start with the black swatch in the middle. I'll actually zoom in even more here for us to look at it. While I normally do love using that confetti topper over black, I feel that the addition of the silver magnetic topper has really taken something away from just how clearly you can see all of the those rainbow flakes, because of how the topper, it's not going to go on completely like clear with everything behind it. You can see more clearly over the jelly that there is a little bit of a gray cast like immediately to the sides of that magnetic line. So I'm actually surprised that in this case I prefer the black jelly option for both of these. I think that okay, so just to recap again, on the left we have the one where I put on the silver magnetic topper first and then put on the additional toppers and magnetize each of those coats. And over here on the right is where I put on the toppers first and then the silver magnetic topper. My final verdict here is that if you are, okay, so first, did I nail it? I think yes. I feel that, yeah, I think that using the black jelly as the starting point for this is going to give you a closer look to Heart of Stone than the black cream does. Now, on to the question of, does the layering order matter at all? And y'all, this is where I just have to go back to saying that, like, I'm not kidding when I say how much I personally love glitter. Like, I really, really love glitter. And that's why I'm saying that I, as a glitter lover, see a difference between the left and the right options. If you're someone for whom, like, reflective glitter or any kind of glitter is just a nice add-on, nice to have, and you're like, it's there, it's cool, I didn't really ask for it, but it's here, it's fine, whatever. If that's you, I would say you're good to go with the option on the right, where you put down the flake topper and the reflective glitter first, and then you magnetize the silver topper over that. However, if you're like me and like the more glitter the better, well, not necessarily the more glitter the better, but like if you are using glitter, you really want to see that you've got glitter there. I'm noticing just an ever so slight difference and more sparkle from the option on the left, where that silver reflective glitter was the last thing that I put on as the topmost layer and then magnetized it. So if I were to wear this combination, what I might do as a happy medium to kind of like get what I want out of that silver pop of glitter but not have to do so much magnetizing, I would probably still start by doing a couple coats of the black jelly polish, put down that rainbow flake topper first, and then do the silver magnetic, and then do the silver reflective glitter on top of that. And I also just want to say I do agree with myself. I don't know where I was going with that. Let me try this again. I do like that I went with the approach of using a rainbow flake topper instead of a silver hollow one, because yeah, if you're looking, like, if what's drawing you to Heart of Stone is like that visible rainbow of color, you're most likely not going to get that with just a regular silver hollow topper, because the glitter just isn't as big as what's in Heart of Stone. So yeah, I can't wait to see this in some other lighting. The next polish comes from Arcana, or I think it's Arcana or Arcana Lacquer, called Love is Stored in the Cow. And the website says that Arcana is continuing their cozy gaming series with a polish inspired by all of the extremely cute cow art within cozy games. Love is Stored in the Cow has a sheer white base with pink, orange, purple flakes and black flakes. There's just a lot of colors there. And it says, note, some of the swatches are on the HHC's website are shown over a base color, and the cap is 240. So I also have a thing for really cute cows, like especially Highland cows or Highland coos as they're called. But yeah, they're just adorable. So that's part of why I was drawn to this one. I'm gonna start with 2 different options here, both of which I've put down 2 coats of a white jelly polish from Cracked called Vanilla. And the first option that I'm going to start with to get some flakes in here would be this one from Perky Polish called Foreshadowed. Now it does, like, you can see kind of like a glow in here that's kind of coming from the iridescence of these flakes. I'm curious to see how that'll translate over to putting it over white, because I don't think I've used this over white. Like, this topper works excellently over darker colors, but I think it also looks good over white too. I'll zoom in just a second so y'all can see how this is going. Come on. Okay. So it doesn't have, let's try that one more time. Okay, there we go. It doesn't have that same color glow at all angles. Like, from one angle I'm seeing a little bit more of like a blue or green color. Some angles I'm seeing more of like a gold, but there are definitely angles where I am for sure getting a like a nice purple shift there. So it was actually really interesting to me and surprising to me when I read the description of Love is Stored in the Cow after looking at the photos, because when I looked at the swatch photos initially, I definitely saw black flakes, but I didn't realize that the pink, orange, and purple shimmer was coming from flakes. And in fact, yeah, if you zoom in on the swatch photos, that's what they are. But I thought, well, what if someone doesn't have that kind of flake topper in their collection, but they do have some kind of purple shimmer topper? Could that still work? So for our second option, I'm using Fancy Gloss Let It Glow Purple Pink. Let's see how this goes. Or should I say, let's see how this glows? Okay. I mean, yeah, that's just, you really can't go wrong with these Fancy Gloss shimmer toppers. They are just stunning, especially over lighter colors. Like, obviously over darker colors you still get a ton of color change, but I just love using these shimmer toppers over like lighter ones because you get that like really subtle but nice glow there. Okay, so we've got 2 different options here, but what we're going to do for the same as the final step for both of them comes from the black flakes. For those of y'all who've been watching my channel for a while, you're not surprised. I'm using Cracked Polish mascara flakes. If you're newer here, I will just, without going into all of my love for the topper that is mascara flakes, I will just say that I really love this topper because of the size of the flakes and also the density of them. Like, you get just the right amount of them without feeling like you've completely like covered your nails in it. Like, you can still see what you've got underneath. So let's put this over the first one. See what I mean about how it's just like a little sprinkling of pepper? Okay, but also, why does that look really nice? Ooh, I like that. Okay, and let's do it for the second one too. okay, I like this too. This is these are combinations that I have not considered until now. Love both of these. Did I nail it? Okay. In terms of vibe, yes. I think that neither of these is a 100% exact dupe for Love is Stored in the Cow. However, this is where I kind of have to go back and ask myself, like what I was referring to in the intro to this video, the question of like, if I were to get Love is Stored in the Cow or any other polish, but just this one for example, because that's where we are, like I'm drawn to it enough where I would obviously want to wear it once to be like, oh, this is as cute in person as it was in the photo. Woo. But then I'm asking myself, beyond that first time of wearing it, how likely would I go back to want to wear it again, especially considering that I've got at least 2 other options here that could give me just as much of the same result, you know. And I'm not gonna do this next thing for the sake of time, but something that just occurred to me that I could probably do as well would be to do, you know, start with the 2 same coats of vanilla, right? And then go in with, you know what? I'm just going to do it real quick and then show y'all. Okay, so I'm just going to put on 2 coats of vanilla, 1 coat of Fortitude, 1 coat of the Fancy Gloss Shimmer, and then mascara flakes, because I am curious to see. Because like I love that I've got the flakes here, and I love that I'm getting more shimmer here. So naturally, I'm just curious to see what happens if I combine them. So I'll be right back. Okay, so yeah, I'm glad I tested this out, because this is the vision that I had. And I'm pausing here before I put on the final coat of mascara flakes, because this I believe is going to be one of those times where I end up preferring some other variation of my duping process over the polish that I was actually trying to dupe. And so while I do think that Love is Stored in the Cow is an absolutely gorgeous polish, I love this combination here where I put down 2 coats of vanilla, 1 coat of Fortitude, 1 coat of Let It Glow, purple, pink, and just stop there. This is just, as someone who does not like wearing white nail polish, I love this. But just to kind of show how it looks, if I did want to put mascara flakes on here, see what I mean? Like it's not bad, but I feel that I think I would prefer to wear this without it. And y'all know it is a rare day when I'm saying like, you know what, let me not put mascara flakes on something. Like, who am I? What am I okay? So yeah, let's take a look at this in some other lighting and then go on to the last polish of this video. The final polish for this video is from Pepper Polish, called Sovereign Tides. The website says that Pepper Polish is continuing their Nature's Alchemy series, and Sovereign Tides has a blue jelly base with a silver magnetic pigment, and there's a cap of 100 bottles. So you might be looking at what I've swatched out so far and thinking, Olivia, is this another Hear Me Out? It's not so much that as like I've got a couple options that I'm pretty sure will work, and a third option that is a technique that typically works for stuff like this, but we'll see. So we're going to start with these 2 here. I've started with a dark blue cream polish in the middle, and then on the left I have a dark blue jelly from Blank Beauty called Blueberry Jam. And well, like it says, it's a blue jelly base. Now, where I'm gonna do something different is that the website says it has a silver magnetic pigment, but when I look through the swatch photos, like I'm sure it's probably the case that, like, yeah, silver magnetic pigment was used to like mix it all together and stuff, but like I know if I were to use my silver magnetic topper even over like blue, it's gonna end up looking like what we had over here, whereas what I'm seeing appears to be more of a light blue magnetic line. So what I'm doing instead is using a Fancy Gloss's light blue magnetic top coat. So let's go ahead and try this over the first one, the jelly polish. Okay, I have so many bottles of nail polish on my desk. That's where sometimes I had to just kind of like pause and rearrange things. This is the option that I feel is going to be the closest. I mean, it's like, it says it's a blue jelly, look, and it looks like a blue jelly in the swatch photos. And what I've got here is a blue jelly, and I've got the magnetic pigment. So, right? Like, that's basically it. But just like also before, I mentioned that I do want to show some other options, especially if you're someone who doesn't necessarily have a blue jelly in your collection, but maybe you have a blue cream and you've got like a blue magnetic topper and you kind of want to see how those look together. So let's try that out. Yeah, that I personally prefer the cream option. I know I've mentioned before on this channel that I'm not really a visible nail line lover, but more opacity is the better for me. See, yeah, this is like, depending on the swatch photos that you're looking at in the HHC listing, some of these, especially on shorter nails, it appears to have more of the opacity of this here in the middle. Now, I think either of these are a good viable option if you're trying to dupe sovereign tides. So that brings me to the last option here, which is the, hey, here's another technique you can try out. So I'm starting with a black cream. The one that I use is Bee's Knees Lacquer Void, and I'm gonna swatch over this Monarch Lacquer's Enigma Glow, which is the same silver magnetic topper I was using earlier. Once I start magnetizing this, I'll kind of talk through this and explain why I'm doing this. Okay, so if you're newer to magnetic nail polish and trying to find some ways to get more use out of your collection, a really good technique that I love to share is when you start with a black cream polish, like I've done here, and then you go in with a silver magnetic topper like this, and then after that, what you can do is put a jelly polish on top of that to essentially like tint that silver magnetic line that you have. So let's say you didn't have a light blue magnetic topper in your collection, but you do have a blue jelly and you want to do that. So what I'm going to do is, like I explained before when I was doing these three here, because I do need to put something else over this, and by something else I mean the jelly, I want to go in with my DRK magic effect first. I'm going to do that for all three of these, and then after I've put on the magic effect, I'll come back for the last portion to show you what it looks like when we add a blue jelly. Okay, I just wanted to, before I get into the last jelly part there, I wanted to go back to something I mentioned earlier about how when you use a magnetic topper. It's, you know, even if from a distance it appears to be a completely crisp line with absolutely no kind of visual residue around the, I'm sure there's a better word than residue, but it's escaping me right now. Visual texture, sure, around that line. I'm just zooming in here to show you how typically that kind of additional visual texture is more apparent when you use a magnetic topper over lighter colors, or in this case like a jelly, whereas when I use that exact same topper over a dark blue cream polish, it's, you know, it just fades into the background there. So just something to keep in mind, not just for this particular dupe attempt, but in general as you're working with these various types of magnetic toppers. It's something that it can give you that kind of like speckling of dust there. Okay, last thing. So we've gotten to this point, and I'm curious to see how this will go, because the blue jelly that I have, as you can see from the swatch on the left, is not the most pigmented. It took me 3 coats of this polish to work up to this point. So I'm actually thinking I might, instead of that one, I might have better luck with using this blue one that I used earlier in this video, Cirque Colors Aqua Jelly. Now, it's not the same shade of blue, but I think that what I'm going for here, more so than color match necessarily, is to have a jelly that's going to really show up enough over that silver. You know, I could even just do like a half and half if I'm careful enough. Okay, let me do a half and half. So this is what happens. Sometimes I'm just like, there was a plan, but now I'm just doing whatever. Okay, not just doing whatever. I'm having more of a focus. Okay, so here's that first half there. So you see what I mean about how like it's tinting it, but not a whole lot. And if I compare that to Aqua Jelly, oh, okay. Oh, okay, so y'all, I promise this has worked for other jelly polishes that I've used before. This is what we made it this far into the video without me having a moment that just was like, okay, how about this? Okay, hold up. This is me when I wake up in the morning. And this is me at the end of the day or something like that. I don't know. It's whatever metaphor you want to have. So a couple things. One is that clearly I'm still new to using this Aqua Jelly. This is like only, I just got this one recently, and I've just been testing it out in a few other things, but obviously not with this, because I would have known to not use that. Also, I should have been magnetizing these coats as I like put something else over that, but it should be fine now. I think that if I really want to try to go in with like a second coat of this blueberry jam jelly here, you can kind of see it a little bit more there, but you know, that is another option that you've got. In this case, I did it over black, but I probably could have done it over like this blue as well. There's something to consider experimenting with. As we can see, not all jellies are going to work as well with this technique as others, but if you do have some, like a silver magnetic topper in your collection, and you do have some jellies of varying levels of opacity and in terms of how pigmented they are, it's worth giving it a try, because I think that if you're able to have these combinations and have it work in a way that gets you to the end result that you want, then that can help you to save some costs and not have to keep buying new things. Okay, this last swatch is still gonna get its moment in some other lighting because it deserves it. So let's do that and then we'll wrap up. I'm still just trying to find the words about that last one, but yeah, that happened. But you know what? This is why it can be fun to experiment with nail polish and find out what works for you, find out what doesn't work, and just get more use out of your polishes. For me, for this month's HHC, I really don't see myself needing to buy anything. The only thing I might be taking a look at would just be any cuticle oil, because I go through that quite a lot, and because of how often I change my nail colors and stuff, especially. So I'm always on the lookout for that, and if it happens to be a scent that like really aligns with the kind of scents that I like, sure, I'll get that, because I know that's something that I really will go through and use up, as opposed to if I were to buy just like a few bottles of nail polish, that when I've got so many polishes that are untried in my collection and I need to get through them first. I really like these combinations that I came up with here, especially like even going back to where we started with the green there. Yeah, especially, you know, seeing that, yeah, I don't have any other greens in my collection that are the same type of green as the one that's in this Lurid prototype, and also the one that I was trying to dupe. But I think that's okay, because I love how the other two options looked as well, and I'm okay with that. If it turns out that, hey, someday I need to, or I feel that I would like to have another shade of green in my collection, I can always go out and get a like a green cream that's of this kind of shade, and then put a red shimmer topper over it, and I'll be okay with that. So I think that's my plan. Yeah, I'm going to really enjoy the polishes that I've got here at home. I'm curious to hear what you all are planning to do for HHC this month. Like, do you have anything on your wish list? What have you been trying to dupe? Do you need help trying to dupe something that wasn't included in this video? If so, let me know, and I'm more than happy to go through my collection and see which polishes I have that might give you a good combination like that. So, as always, thank you all for being here on this channel. Thank you all for watching, commenting, liking, subscribing, all that stuff. I really do appreciate it, and it still amazes me to see just how much my channel has been growing over a relatively short amount of time. Lots more fun content coming your way, so be on the lookout for that soon. And look forward to seeing you on the next video. Bye!